Always great talking to my next guest, the number 10th ranked welterweight, Neil Magny, back here on the program. Neil, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Your name's been out there a lot over the last week. Of course, Khamzat Chimaev needs an opponent. I understand you have volunteered your services. What's the latest on that? Because a lot of fans just want to see him fight, but obviously you specifically would be a very fun style matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this fight would be as simple as like two guys agreed and get a date set when we move forward. But it seems like this fight, which with him is taking a lot longer to get set than fights have in the past. I mean, I'm not sure if it's him just trying to hold out for the highest bidder as far as picking out the fight to get the highest ranked opponent or the opponent that's going to help propel his career the furthest or whatever it is. But it definitely seems like there's some hold up on his end as far as like being able to commit to an actual opponent and get the fight scheduled for a specific date.
Well, I find there's a couple things interesting about this, and I'm putting on my detective hat here, even though I'm not a detective by any means, but I did notice like Ali Abdelaziz giving you some props. That's Chimaev's manager. But I see that tweet. At least I can't find it anymore. I don't know if he deleted it or what the deal is, but it looked like an encouraging sign because he's his manager. Have you gotten a contract or anything? I mean, I know you've said yes. I know he said yes, but has there been any contract given to you at all?
Yes, I mean, at this point, we're at a complete standstill. I mean, other than a verbal agreement where both he and I agreed to fight via social media and that kind of thing, there hasn't been any contract sent out. There hasn't been any confirmation as far as UFC saying, like, this is the 100% fight we're going to make. So, like I said, I think it's just one of those things that he's just out there trying to find the highest bidder for him to fight next. And it's a bit frustrating. I mean, I like the idea of like getting things secured through the fighters and UFC just putting back and sending contracts so we move forward. That way there's no hold up or hard feelings as far as like, oh man, I wanted that fight, but I got this one instead. It's like, hey, we both agreed to it. Let's go ahead and get this thing on paper and let's move forward.
I know there's politics involved, but it must bother you too, because here's a guy who says that no one's going to fight me, and you're putting your hand up and you're saying, I'm ready to go. You're ranked. Like, it can't be an issue of like you not being a notable opponent because you're in the rankings. I don't think he hasn't fought a ranked welterweight yet. So, are you a bit surprised by that? Just because that's his whole motto is like, no one wants to fight me, but here you are volunteering your services, like you said.
Yeah, that part definitely catch me off guard a bit. I mean, especially when you have Dana White having interviews like, hey, Chimaev is one of the hardest guys to book out there right now. I mean, no one wants to fight this guy. And he turns around and gives me credit for being one of the guys who's willing to step up. And here we are a few days later, and there's still nothing in concrete set in stone for this fight to happen. I'm just like, well, what's the holdup? I mean, you guys all said that no one's willing to fight this guy. You guys are worried that I'm willing to step up and take this fight. What else is there to do to make this thing happen? I mean, I'm ready to move forward with this fight 100%.
And just to give people an idea, and this is from our last interview that we did, you don't have a manager, so you're probably dealing with this all on your own, right? Or is it just, talking back and forth? Like, who are you even speaking to? Is it UFC?
Yeah, so I tend to speak to UFC directly on my own, so there's never any mix-up as far as like, oh, we sent the contract to your manager, you haven't gotten it yet. Like, I mean, up until this point, that hasn't been the case. So every fight that was offered to me, it came to me directly. So there's no there's no idea of no possibility that things to get lost in transition. Everything was coming to me directly. In more recent times, I have been stepping up and talking to different management groups, and that is a decision I'm getting ready to make here pretty soon. As far as signing with the management company and having representation moving forward, just to kind of assist with some of the contract negotiations and that kind of thing that goes along with fighting. So until that point happens, I mean, there's just nothing that came through my email or phone for this fight to move forward.
I imagine, I just have to say it just because of optics here, but I imagine Vayner Sports might be one of them just because Curtis is rep by them, Austin Hubbard. They have a few of the guys from your gym. I would imagine that's one of them on the radar, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of the guys, one of the groups that I reached out and talked to as far as like being able to offer different services and that kind of thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't want to put myself in a position like Leon Edwards, where it's great, you're a good fighter, you won 10 fights in a row, but no one wants to see you fight for a title. So being able to sign with a management group, that's going to get me the right fights to propel my career to title contention and also help with the marketing and that kind of thing that goes with MMA as well, I think will be the right move for me at this point in my career.
Very cool. Okay, well, we'll be keeping tabs on that. Ideally, if you were to fight Chimaev, what card were you looking at? Was there a specific date you were looking at for that fight?
So initially I was open to any date in November. I mean, at the time that I said I was willing to fight him, it was roughly three weeks ago now.
Hmm.
And I want to give myself the full opportunity to train for him specifically. I didn't want to leave it up for any excuses, any doubt, any mistake where it's like I have a built-in excuse like, oh well, I took this fight short notice, so the outcome was different. I went to set myself up for the best possible chance of success. That way I can take the outcome of the fight regardless of what it may be. So initially, any date in November would have worked for me. But as of now, I'm hearing he wants to make it happen for a main event for December 19th. So that's a projected date that we're hearing now is December 19th. We're just waiting to see what actually gets set in stone.
Okay, well that's good to know. And obviously, hypothetically, style-wise, how do you feel like you match up against him? Because this guy's looked unstoppable. But you're a vet, Neil, and you've had a lot of tough opponents and a lot of tough fights in your career.
Oh, I feel great, man. I feel like I match up well against this guy. I mean, I had a tendency of taking the guys who a lot of people in division fear and making them look very human. I mean, Hector Lombard was a guy who a lot of people feared before I fought him, and after I fought him, everyone was just like, "Oh, wow, this guy's superhuman." It's no problem for me to go in there and fight a guy like Hector Lombard. Robbie Lawler, another fighter. Like most guys go in there and they leave the cage with their face dismantled, looking unrecognizable. I went in there with him for 15 minutes and walked out without a scratch on me. So. I definitely like going into these fights that most people tend to shy away from and kind of take on the boogeyman, so to speak, the guy that a lot of people in the division are afraid to go up against. And I feel like Chimaev is that guy. I mean, he's relatively new to the sport. He hasn't really been tested against competition. So a lot of people feel like it's putting your legacy and your rank on the line finding a guy like that. But I like that kind of risk. I like to go out there and bet on myself and be fully confident that I'm going to come away with the victory.
Let's talk about that Robbie Lawler fight. What a performance that was. Big name on the resume to fight. I know there was some history as well. We talked about that, how you started your career with Robbie. You must have been happy with the performance outside of maybe a finish, but that was a pretty solid win for you.
Yeah, I felt great that performance. I mean, I was out there in the zone having fun, trying new things. Even with the guy who had way more experience than I have, a guy who was spared by a lot of people in his division, just still go into that fight and have fun and try new things and just kind of not necessarily keep it playful, but keep it interesting. Keep it to the point where I'm trying different moves, different techniques that I may not have went for in the past, and just to kind of find that confidence in a fight with a guy like Robbie Lawler. I felt great with that performance.
Excellent. Did you talk to Robbie after the fight? I know he's not much for words, but you guys did have that history. Did you speak to him?
Not too much. I mean, Robbie's not a man of many words at all.
He's not a guy you're going to sit down and break bread with at dinner, I wouldn't think. He's kind of to himself, right?
Yeah, mostly get out of that man is kind of a head nod or a fist bump, and that's worth 1,000 words from him. So it wasn't much conversation afterwards. His coaches kind of came up and congratulated me, gave me some supportness here and there, and but other than that, it was just kind of a mutual respect, wish you the best kind of thing moving forward.
How about Drew Dober and Curtis Blaydes? How are they looking? They got big fights coming up as well.
Man, they're both looking great as well. I mean, it's cool to see like this shift that happened in training where not guys aren't just getting better physically, but like the mental aspect. A lot of guys really tuning in into the mental aspect of training and really taking some serious steps in a direction of how to approach the fight where you're locked in mentally and you go out there and execute at the highest level. And that's the part that I'm excited for with all my teammates. I mean, we seen it with Corey Sandhagen last week. I mean,
what a win that was, huh? Yeah.
For sure. He fell short against Aljamain Sterling earlier this year, but he went out there against Sergio Moraes. Oh, I'm sorry, not Sergio. Martin Moraes, a guy who beat the guy that just beat Corey. And he looked unstoppable in there. He went out there and just completely dominated that fight beginning to end, and was able to get the finish. And I think that that mental piece was a huge factor that a lot of the guys just didn't quite figure out just yet, but I feel like our team has really come along to putting that piece to use.
As we're wrapping things up here, how's fatherhood going, man? You're kind of more than a couple months in. It's been, I'm sure, really rewarding for you.
Man, it's going great. I mean, day by day, he's like picking up new things and just kind of interacting more and more. So it's like every time I think I have this thing figured out, he does something completely different or new that kind of just like makes it more worth it day in and day out. So, man, it's an amazing journey. Every time I think I got it figured out, it's just like, here, surprise, here's a new thing I'm doing. and it just kind of just keeps adding to the journey for me. So it's been amazing.
Is he watching any Netflix or YouTube videos? Because I know like my son right now is into like Booba or one of those shows on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it.
No, he's got like me. His attention span is very hard to stay on one thing. So like, you turn the TV on for him and try to have him watch like the Veggie Tales or whatever it may be, and he just kind of he's just all over the place. So just pick up and just like tune in on the next thing and just kind of just keep his mind going. Like, it's very hard for him to focus on one thing for too long.
What about you? Any Netflix, watching anything, or any video games you playing? What are you getting into right now?
Not too much. I mean, lately my hobby has just been building new things, man. Just been picking up on the real estate thing a lot more, and just kind of finish up some projects in my own house now. So it's kind of been having that keep my attention outside of the gym.
Doing
Just
dad
kinda,
stuff, yeah, like building stuff around the house, yeah.
yeah, playing Builder Bob when I'm not in the gym lately.
Neil, really hope you end up getting this fight. Either way, I hope we get to see a fight again this year. That was a big win, like I said, over Robbie Lawler. In the meantime, if you got anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media, the floor is yours, man.
No, dude, I mean, I just appreciate being able to come on the show and have the opportunity to talk to you. I mean, if anything, more than me, more than sponsors, just check out mission111.org and see some of the volunteer work we're doing in Haiti and the Philippines. Just check out their page. They're always doing something, always looking for different donors and that kind of thing. So just check out mission111.org on Facebook, Instagram, or their website.